Welcome to the Think Forward podcast, where we speak with futurists, innovators, and big thinkers. Come along with your host, Steve Fisher, and explore the future together.
Welcome back to Foundations in Foresight, a Think Forward series. I'm Steve Fisher, and today we're hitting a major milestone. We've spent the last 19 episodes diving deep into the 9 SuperShifts, breaking down how they're transforming our world, reshaping industries, economies, technology, and even the way we think about identity, trust, and power. And now, we've arrived at the big question. What does it all mean when we put it together? Because here's the thing. None of these shifts are happening in isolation. They're colliding, amplifying each other, creating ripple effects that are reshaping the world faster than any one of them could alone. It's one thing to understand these shifts individually, but the real power comes from seeing how they connect, how they reinforce each other, and how we can navigate them strategically. So today, we're going to step back and reflect on the journey so far. We'll look at how these shifts interact, what big patterns have emerged, and what it means for the future. And most importantly, we're going to set the stage for the next phase of this series, where we move from awareness to application. We've been understanding change. Now, we're going to start using foresight tools to make sense of it and design strategies for what's next. Let's get into it. So let's start by looking back at the journey we've been on. Over the past 19 episodes, we've explored 9 massive shifts that are reshaping everything, from work and technology to global power, and even our fundamental understanding of biology. We started with generational drift, where we talked about how demographic shifts, changing values, and the rise of younger generations are creating massive cultural and economic realignments. We looked at Intellifusion, where artificial intelligence isn't just automating tasks, but actually merging with human intelligence, changing how we work, make decisions, and even how we create. We dove into Techceleration, where technology isn't just advancing, it's accelerating exponentially, disrupting entire industries faster than businesses and governments can adapt. We explored Reality Remix, where digital and physical worlds are blending, creating new ways of interacting, working, and even defining identity. We talked about Power Flow, where decentralized energy, renewables, and smart grids are turning energy from a utility into a networked intelligent system. And then there was Eco-Awakening, where sustainability is no longer just about reducing harm, but about building regenerative systems that restore and replenish. We dove into Social Quake, where trust in institutions is eroding and people are forming new decentralized networks of governance, community, and influence. We explored World Mosaic, where the old model of globalization is breaking apart, and we're moving into a multipolar world of regional economic systems, cultural power shifts, and competing financial networks. And finally, we arrived at BioNexus, where biology and technology are merging to transform healthcare, food, and even human longevity itself. Each of these shifts is massive on its own, but what's even more important is how they interact. That's where things get really interesting. None of these changes exist in a vacuum. They're all connected, and when they collide, they create entirely new possibilities and entirely new risks. Think about Intellifusion and generational drift. AI is changing the nature of work, but it's the younger generations who are redefining what work even means. They're demanding flexibility, rejecting outdated career models, and embracing automation as a tool for independence, not just efficiency. Or take Techceleration and Social Quake. Technology is moving so fast that institutions can't keep up, and as a result, people are losing trust in traditional systems. Decentralized finance, independent media, and self-organizing communities are stepping in to fill the gaps where governments and corporations are falling behind. Look at Eco-Awakening and Power Flow. Climate awareness is rising at the same time as energy is becoming decentralized and intelligent. The shift to renewables isn't just about sustainability, it's about energy independence, resilience, and entirely new business models. And one of the biggest intersections of all? BioNexus and Techceleration. As biology becomes programmable, we're seeing AI-driven drug discovery, personalized medicine, and even the potential for genetic enhancements. The speed at which these changes are happening raises massive ethical, economic, and social questions that we're only beginning to grapple with. This is why foresight is so important. When you look at these shifts separately, it's easy to miss the bigger picture. But when you connect them, you start to see how they're reshaping everything at the same time, from how we work and govern ourselves to how we power the world and even how long we live. So where do we go from here? For the last 19 episodes, we've been in awareness mode, breaking down these SuperShifts, understanding their drivers, and making sense of how they're unfolding. But now, it's time to take things further. Starting in episode 61, we're moving into application mode. We're going to start using tools from the Spectrum Foresight framework to make sense of all this complexity, to identify signals of change earlier, to build world-building exercises and scenarios that help us explore possible futures, and to develop strategies for how to navigate uncertainty. We're going to go deep into how to track weak signals, how to map out emerging trends, and how to construct future scenarios that help us prepare for what's ahead. Instead of just talking about what's changing, we're going to start designing ways to anticipate, influence, and shape the future. Because the truth is, the future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we build. The more we understand these shifts, and the more we learn to apply foresight thinking, the better prepared we are to make smarter decisions, whether that's in business, policy, or our personal lives. So here's your challenge. Over the past 19 episodes, we've covered a huge amount of change. Now it's time to start making connections. Which of these super shifts do you see playing out in your industry, your company, or your community? How are they interacting? What patterns are emerging that others might not have noticed yet? As we move into this next phase of the series, I want you to start thinking like a futurist. Pay attention to the signals of change around you. Look for where these super shifts are colliding. Start questioning assumptions about the future and thinking critically about how these transformations might play out. Because in the next 20 episodes, we're going to build on this foundation. We're going to take these ideas and apply them so that we're not just talking about change, but actively shaping the way we navigate the future. In our next episode, we're kicking off this new phase by exploring how to identify and track weak signals of change. Those small but crucial early indicators that tell us where the future is headed before it becomes obvious. Until then, keep exploring, questioning, and as always, think forward.
Thanks for listening to the Think Forward podcast. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms and at www.thinkforwardshow.com, as well as on YouTube under Think Forward Show. See you next time.